Welcome to the On-Demand training module for National Geographic Learning's U.S. History, America Through the Lens, Beginnings to 1877. On Your Feet is an element of the program that teachers will see interspersed throughout the lessons. These are going to be various cooperative learning routines and other get up and move activities teachers can use to keep students engaged. You will find examples of the cooperative learning strategies that are used in the On Your Feet activities in the front matter of the Teacher's Edition. By the end of this on-demand training module, you'll be able to explain some of the key points from the U.S. History Consultant essays. These are found in the front matter of the Teacher's Edition. We will also identify the purpose of each of the program components. And finally, you'll build a thorough understanding of the instructional design of the U.S. History program. Our overall objective in this session is to increase your knowledge of U.S. history through the lens so that you feel equipped to go into the classroom tomorrow and implement a lesson. I'm excited to introduce you to our 3 senior program consultants that work to ensure the accuracy of the program information, the grade level appropriateness, and most importantly, to ensure your students will be learning U.S. history using active learning best practices from an integrated perspective. First, I'd like you to meet Peggy Althoff, who addresses the importance of active learning in the history classroom. Fritz Fisher addresses historical thinking. And finally, I'd like you to meet Fred Hebert. Fred is National Geographic's archaeologist in residence and works with our Curating History features. Dr. Hebert has a passion for finding interconnections among modern and ancient cultures. This has taken him to some unusual places around the globe. Students have the opportunity to explore how archaeology adds to our understanding of history and can address this important question in their history notebook as they make their journey into U.S. history. Here are some additional program consultants who have all added their expertise to the program. For instance, Catherine Keene, the VP for National Geographic's exhibition, talks to us about planning a museum visit. Nat Geo photographer Kenneth Garrett shares the importance of photography in documenting history and shares his passion of photography with students that are interested in learning more. Robert Reed is a National Geographic digital nomad and travel writer. Robert shares his thoughts on history and helps to make it come alive. These National Geographic explorers add their adventures to make U.S. history a well-rounded program with real-world connections that help students to be engaged and motivated to learn in the U.S. history classroom. Let's take a look at the student program components. These include the student book, which is available in both print and digital through our online MindTap platform. The book features 6 units and 22 chapters, focusing on the time period of 1877 to the present. There is a digital history notebook available, and the Teacher's Edition will prompt you when to incorporate the activities into the notebook. The Teacher's Edition is also available in print and digital on our MindTap platform. Detailed instruction is found wrapped around the embedded student pages for easy classroom delivery. We will look more closely at the instructional strategies in a bit when we focus on some of the lessons. In the digital version, teachers have access to everything, all the student components, your chapter planners, background and instructional material, lesson plans, and assessments. The three key program attributes that really set U.S. history apart from the other geography programs out there include connecting students to the history of our land, viewing history as an exploration of identity and celebration of America's cultural heritage and diversity. And finally, it approaches literacy through an integrated approach, focusing on reading, writing, and also on building critical thinking skills. As teachers, we also have access to a correlation between U.S. history and the C3 framework, which of course stands for college, career, and civic life. And students are also introduced to the National Geographic Learning Framework so they can develop their higher order thinking skills throughout the program. The activities and tests in America Through the Lens offer a generous variety of opportunities for both formative and summative assessment in numerous modes. Each lesson in the student edition ends with historical thinking questions that assess students' understanding of the lesson content and their ability to analyze it. You can use this quick formative assessment to help students develop their critical thinking skills and to determine whether any concepts need to be reinforced or retaught. Guided discussion questions, like those shown on the slide, provide additional material for classroom interaction. These questions can be discussed as a whole class, used for small group work, or assigned as homework. At the end of each unit, a summative assessment evaluates students' grasp of the main ideas and overarching themes of the unit. At the end of each unit, a unit inquiry and National Geographic Learning Framework activity can be used as summative performance assessments. Following the unit and chapter table of contents, you will find the National Geographic Features table of contents. This comes in handy when you are looking for one of the special features to include or focus on as a lesson. The first unit has 4 review chapters focusing on the beginning of America up to the year 1877. These will help to prepare students for the upcoming content focused on 1877 to the present day. Now we'll dive into a unit and see what great features your students will encounter. We are going to use Unit 3 as a demo unit, but every unit will have a similar format. The unit opens with a photographic spread, and the teacher's edition will walk you through introducing the photograph. There are discussion prompts to promote collaborative exchange, and you can check students' understanding with the critical viewing assessment. The second part of the unit opener includes the timeline. This is a 2-part timeline showing events in the United States on the top part of the timeline and events of the world on the bottom. The teacher's edition walks you through instruction of the timeline, and understanding can be checked with the historical thinking question. A suggested answer for the historical thinking question is also provided in the teacher's edition. Next in the unit, you'll find the chapter planner. This provides the teacher resources, assessment, and digital resources that will be used throughout the chapter. Any special features are shown, and resources for each chapter section are shown in detail. Teacher resources include reading and note-taking, vocabulary practice, skills lessons, and formal assessments. Students' digital resources include the e-edition, handouts, an online atlas, the history notebook, and projects for inquiry-based learning. Differentiation is provided for students that need additional support or for those students that need more of a challenge academically. The differentiation summary page provides multiple strategies and gives suggestions for which lessons the strategies should be used with. The chapter opener begins with the analysis of another historical photograph. The student pages include the historical thinking question. The teacher's instruction includes a summary of key vocabulary in each chapter section and a reading strategy activity to help students as they begin reading the text in the chapter. The teacher's instruction also provides instructional advice on introducing the photograph and highlights key dates. The chapters begin with an American story. In some chapters, this will only be found online. The teacher instructional path includes planning, which gives the objectives, critical thinking skills that will be used, and background information for the teacher. Introduce and engage, building background, teach, write about history, and historical thinking instructions lead teachers through the entire lesson with students. Here's an example of a National Geographic tie-in featuring Dr. Robert Ballard. Some of you may know him for his discovery of the Titanic. After the American Stories feature, the chapter sections begin. Differentiation suggestions are included for each lesson. Additional special types of lessons include American Voices. These lessons provide historical insight through the eyes of key historical figures. These activities will include an active options on your feet activity that will incorporate a cooperative learning strategy and the NGL framework attitudes, knowledge, and/or skills. The history notebook will be incorporated into lessons like these, and the teacher's edition will provide you instruction. Historical perspectives are formed not only by people, but in conjunction with the items that are used during the time period. Our senior consultant, Frederick Hebert, National Geographic's archaeologist in residence, knows the importance of including the artifacts when describing historical periods. The Curating History feature will introduce students to important items from historical time periods and share the significance of those items. American Places is another special feature lesson that focuses on the important places of history. There are 4 of these throughout the book, and the locations can be found in the National Geographic Features Table of Contents. American Galleries, found online, features images and photographs relevant to the time periods represented in the chapters. This is an integrated text. You will see geography and history, literacy connections, and this feature, geology and history. This lesson demonstrates how caves provided shelter for early humans, but became a location for speakeasies during Prohibition thousands of years later. As we look at Chapter 11, Lesson 1.3, think of how important it is for your students to encounter document-based questions. Document-based questions are based on actual historical maps and/or documents. They focus on critical thinking skills and ask students to make comparisons, make interpretations, apply knowledge to given data, and look at issues from multiple perspectives. These document-based questions will help set the foundation for critical thinking success in the student's future. You can now turn with me to the review of the chapter. Each chapter review provides the opportunity for students to think back over the content presented to them, from vocabulary and main ideas identified to support each section, to the varied subtopics covered within each unit. There is a Connect to Your Life review section to connect historical content in the chapter to the students' lives. The unit wrap-up is where teachers and students revisit the unit as a whole. The wrap-up includes an adapted National Geographic article. Here we see the hidden world of the Great War. There's also a unit inquiry project, which addresses the National Geographic framework. Rubrics are provided for these end-of-the-unit project-based assessments. This text begins with the story of a continent. This provides historical information on the climate, plant and animal life, geology, and the cultural shaping of the North American continent. The text also contains 3 through the lens special features. One is about immigration and the part it has played in U.S. history. In another, we take a look at American cars and their part in our culture. And finally, a look at America through the decades. You can pick one of these you're interested in and take a closer look. The student reference section following Unit 6 includes a citizenship handbook that contains the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, and the Bill of Rights, and finally, a Citizenship in You article. At the end of the book, you'll find a comprehensive glossary in English and in Spanish.
Hello, welcome to our WebEx for National Geographic Cengage Learning's U.S. History textbook. Today I'll be walking you through all the functionality of our MindTap program. First, we're going to start over here to the left-hand side under our navigation panel. Under the navigation panel, you'll see that we've chosen Chapter 6 to look at today. Underneath Chapter 6 are all the lessons that are included. If we scroll down to the bottom after the lessons, we'll see we have our document-based question, our Chapter 6 review, and our American Gallery on the Age of Invention. These particular lessons can all be accessed by just the teacher or student simply clicking on them to go directly to that lesson. We can also close this navigation bar to then have a full-size rendering of the textbook. So we'll start here on our opening page for Chapter 6, Industrial America. We see first our historical thinking. What were the overall positive and negative effects of industrialization on America? As we scroll down, we can see our highlight of critical viewing. We can also see the different section titles that are included within this particular chapter, followed by our American Gallery on our Age of Invention. We're going to go ahead and click the next page to look into our first lesson included in this chapter. For our first lesson, we'll see a couple different items that are important. First of all is our audio speaker up here. When this is chosen, students are able to listen to the entire page be read aloud. It will also follow and highlight the words as they are being read. Let's go ahead and listen for a moment.
1.1 Railroads, steel, and oil. Being able to transport goods and people from coast to coast became a reality in the 1860s with the opening of the Transcontinental Railroad. This monumental achievement led
Students are able to listen to all parts of this textbook in full audio. You'll also note down here, when we get into our particular lesson, that there is a sliding bar. When I click onto the sliding bar, it'll go ahead and reveal a modified text for my students. Right here is the original text, and if I click onto the sliding bar, we will now see our modified text. The modified text is also available in full audio. We can also see up here that we can jump to the different sections in Lesson 1.1. So I can click on to Consolidating Power and be taken directly to that part of the lesson, or Carnegie's Empire. You'll also note that any vocabulary words are highlighted in yellow. When I click onto that word, you'll see that the definition is down below, as well as full audio support in addition. Let's go ahead and keep scrolling down and look at our historical thinking. Under historical thinking, we'll see our questions that our students will be answering at the end of this particular section. We also will see all of our standards are listed here below. That will be included on every page as we're going through our textbook. I'm going to click onto our next page. Here we will see our Curating History. For this particular history field trip, we're going to be looking at the California State Railroad Museum in Sacramento. You'll also notice that the full audio support is still here, as well as the modified text. As students are scrolling through here, they can see the different pictures that are included from the museum, almost like being there in person. Students can go ahead and flip through the different pages and look at these great pieces here. You can also see that our standards are also included at the bottom of the page as well. Moving on to the next page. Some additional features that are included that I'd like to share with you are the note-taking. So if I click onto the notes up here, I'm able to go ahead and add a note to any page I'd like. So I can put here, Bell's telephone. And then I can go ahead and include, read this carefully. Students can then save those notes and come back to them and see the different notes that they have taken on different days. They can also bookmark pages as well. So I can go ahead and click on to Add Bookmark and either put in my own title or save it under this particular title that's already defaulted there. And now that bookmark has been saved. Let's go ahead and move into our next page. As we're going through, you'll also note that anytime we have primary sources or any photographs or maps, etc., that students are able to access all of those photographs or maps directly here online. So we can see here our primary source. I'm now going to go ahead and navigate over to the document-based question. So I'll click on that from our navigation bar. And here you'll see your document-based question. So we start with the introduction, again with still that modified text and that audio support consistent throughout the entire text. I can see my first document, my second document, and my third document, followed by my synthesize and write. We're then going to follow up with the last part of our chapter, which is our Chapter 6 review. Students are able to jump directly to what the different questions that they want to answer and answer them directly here, again with full audio support. And last but not least, we get to our American Gallery, the Age of Invention. Here students are able to click through and look at the different photographs that we have, focusing on our amazing inventors. They can also see the pictures that go along with them here in our fantastic gallery. So that's it for today. I've enjoyed speaking with you, and we can't wait to work with you. Thanks so much.